Whiskey Jason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American in Germany tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. Today I'm in the United States of America, better said Michigan. To be exact, Three Oaks, Michigan. Journeyman, not a king. Whiskey base number 109192. This is actually a memorial bottle, is what I'm going to say, commemorative bottle for George Washington. President's Day is when it comes out. 35 euros over here, which is about $45. 60% rye, 40% corn, and it's matured in 15-gallon oak barrels. And if I remember correctly, from Minnesota. Why Minnesota? I might be wrong. Because Bell Welter, the founder of Journeyman, he was an avid golf player, especially in high school. He went over to St. Andrews in Scotland, learned a lot about golfing, but then also something about whiskey. He met a guy named Greg Ramsay from Tasmania, down below Australia, and he visited him in 2006. And Bill actually went to Bothwell's in Tasmania, saw how they were first making whiskey, also with Lark whiskey from Tasmania. He went back down there 2010, started actually distilling himself, finding out how to distill a little bit in Tasmania, and came back to the States, went to Robert Bernecker at Koval and said, hey, teach me how to do this. He did that. And then he set up his own distillery in 2011 together with his dad. So that's the history, a little bit of Journeyman. They set up their factory in the Featherbone factory from E.K. Warren, which was a prohibitionist. Wow, that took a while to get through my mouth. And that was very interesting because E.K. Warren was the guy who, instead of using whale bones, he started using these feather bones for the corsets for the women. He also made some buggy whips and some other things. That's why they have a whiskey called Corsette Whip, and Corsets and Whip, and they have Not a King. So 45%, 60% rye, as mentioned, 40% corn. What I'm going to compare it to actually is their own rye, which is the Last Feather Rye, which I did a video on in German. It was my video number 331. By the way, I'm around 1,100 videos in German already, which is amazing, and 200 plus here in English. That's what happens when you start a year later and only do a video every 3 days, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays in English, and yet every day in German, Monday to Saturday, with a live stream on Sunday. So I've been doing now daily whiskey reviews in German now for almost over 2 years now. I don't think there's another person on the planet that has been doing that so often as I have. All right, good. Tooting my own horn, I think that's called. The Journeyman, Not a King. It's got a beautiful nose, a very, very nice, sweet rye nose. A dark, not too dark, it's more of an orange than a brown. Very, very well done. I really like the effect of the 15-gallon white oak barrels here. The choice here of 60% rye and 40% corn is also interesting. No malted barley. Maybe they had to use some enzymes to get that batch going, that fermentation going there. I don't know. Going over here to the Last Feather Rye, this has a little bit of a different character. The whole time I'm getting a little bit more of a vegetable broth. I don't know. If you've ever watched a lot of my videos, you'd be amazed at the associations I have sometimes when I taste, smell, and actually just review whiskeys. It's got a light rye note. If this is a dark orange, this is a little bit of a lighter orange. I'm getting something that we have over here, onion bread. Onion bread and vegetable broth together in a very rye type of moment. So let's try it. Now, I've done my video in German already, so I know what to expect. Now here, at this moment, something happens. There's a little bit of a tartiness, a little bit of bitterness that comes in and dilutes my enjoyment of this whiskey. I don't know where it comes from. It's not barrel. But there's something in there that just kind of is a tiny little bit, as if in the pot still they had allowed the mash to just burn a tiny little bit to the sides of the pot still. Now, I'm not saying that happened. That's what it's just like kind as if you had rice where just a tiny little bit on the bottom was a little bit burnt on the pan, and you kind of whoops, got it. And I just get a tiny little moment of that. What happens though, if I add a little bit of water, it disappears. So it's 45%. Put in your 3 drops of water. Give it a second. Swirl it around. Try it again. Even with a little bit of water, it opens up. It's more vanilla. It's more even a little bit of orange peel. It's much better. I like it. It's great. It's a very nice whiskey. Even the legs are beautiful. Yep. And that tartiness turns a little bit into a more of a sweet rye goodness at the end, and everyone's happy. This is a solid B. I do not give Bs very lightly for rye whiskeys. Not a King Journeyman is an excellent bottle. Now, I have no idea the availability in the United States and or UK and or Australia or any place in this world for that matter. But if you can get your hands on a bottle of Journeyman, they have the Silver Cross, which is a 4-grain. Haven't tried that. They have the Buggy Whip, which is a wheat. Haven't tried that, but I will try the Corsets and Whip, which is the cast strength of it. They have a 3 Oak single malt. Sorry, haven't tried that. Kissing Cousins, I have no idea. And they have the Fishbone Bourbon, which I will be trying as well very, very soon. Just in comparison, the Feather Rye. The last Feather Rye, it's more of a vegetal moment. It doesn't have that wonderful sweetness, that wonderful brown sugar, a little bit even a maple syrup over here. And to be very honest, that alcohol just doesn't seem as mature as the Not a King. I think they chose some very, very special bottles for this as a commemorative bottling for George Washington, who was a president and didn't want to be a king even though the people wanted it. As I think Ford asked his people, if you wanted the people, what did they want? They wanted a faster horse, and they didn't know they wanted a car. The same thing with George Washington. Then they wanted a king, and they didn't know they needed a president. To be honest, I would put this almost a whole note down. This is like a C plus for me. The last Feather Rye, and this is actually a solid B. So value for money. Over here it's 35 euros, as I said, about $45, 0.5 liters. I'm going to give it a solid C. If you can find it, buy it. Why not? All right, my question of the day is, what is your favorite rye whiskey? Is it a Lot 40? Is it a Jim Beam rye? Is it a Bullet rye? Is it a Jack Daniel's single barrel rye? What is your favorite bourbon rye whiskey out there at the moment? Not Canadian rye, but real rye with at least 51% rye in there. All right, thank you very much for watching. WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American in Germany. Like, subscribe, and tell others about this crazy guy over in Germany tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. All the best. Bye-bye.